What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. My name is Mark Farzy. I want to start off by making you guys a pledge. And I think you guys are already on this page, but I just want to make sure you guys know where I stand on this. I am really in a place where I do not care about James Harden. That's really where I am at. I think most people in Philadelphia are in this same place. If this maybe would have hit, if he would have spoken to people in China. Now, we played from my phone the tweet from Sham Charania yesterday. Apparently, he was in China, and he was talking about Daryl Morey, in case you missed it, which I think you'd have to be living under a rock to have missed it in the last 24 hours. But he called Daryl Morey a liar. Like, it wasn't interpreted that he's calling him a liar. He flat out called him a liar and said, let me repeat that. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I'll never play for an organization that he's a part of. So that's where we're at right now. That's how the offseason is going right now for the 76ers. So there's been some fallout that we'll talk about. But here's one thing I want to make sure I get across here. If this would have happened like a month ago, then maybe people would have given a damn, but the Phillies were already on their run. So that picked up. Obviously, training camp hadn't started yet. So maybe it would have picked up a little bit more steam, and maybe it will have more steam to carry on for a while. Look, this is going to be a talking point. I can't say that I won't talk about it. However, because it's news, and we got to keep you guys updated, and we got to continue to give our opinions on it and all that stuff. But here's one thing I'm going to promise you. I will not be held hostage by James Harden. All right? Say it with me. I will not be held hostage by James Harden. We will not, as a fan base, be held hostage by James Harden. Because here's the deal. If you went in expecting anything for James Harden, then you're probably a little off base. If you expected anything far beyond the matching of salaries in a trade, you probably expected too much. All I want out of it is that first-round pick in 2027. It's not even like next year. It's not even the upcoming draft. And I thought that would be a win. Now, I don't know what the Clippers offered in return. They literally could have offered nothing, which is probably why you don't have a deal done. I'm not going to invest a lot of time in James Harden because bottom line is we're going to get, at least I'm going to get, and I know many of us are going to get what we wanted originally, which is James Harden not playing for the Sixers. So I think that's pretty much accomplished. Okay, let's check that box. James Harden's not going to play for the Sixers. According to James Harden, he's not playing for the Sixers. And I don't think the Sixers are firing Daryl Morey to appease James Harden. If they wanted to appease James Harden, they would have given him closer to a contract that he really wanted. We will talk about it. We will discuss it, but I will not allow it to hold us hostage. We'll get into it a little bit later in the show. I just wanted to lead with, we won't be held hostage by Harden. Okay, so I just wanted to get that away. The Eagles held a joint practice yesterday with the Cleveland Browns. It did not go well for Jordan Mailata. He was facing off against Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett won. That's the clear-cut report out of camp. It was not a good day for Jordan Mailata. If you were to tell me that the Eagles starting left tackle, a guy that I have predicted and many other people have predicted to be a Pro Bowler by the end of the year, if you would have told me he was going to have a really bad practice, I would hope it would be against Myles Garrett. Because anybody else, that's not, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. But apparently Myles Garrett just got after it against Jordan Mailata. I read one story from Jeff McClain yesterday in the Inquirer saying that if this was during a game, they would have rolled some help to the side of Jordan Mailata, which is how bad it was getting. So, okay. It's good to know. Thank you. Wasn't the sharpest day for Jalen Hurts yesterday at practice. I try not to read too much into that. And Sean Desai addressed the media yesterday, as did a number of Philadelphia Eagles. The one that I was really listening to was Hassan Reddick, because I wanted to see what Hassan Reddick had to say about Nolan Smith, a guy that they have been calling Lil Hassan since he has rolled into training camp. So Hassan Reddick gives his take on that. So we'll get into that conversation. And Sean Desai spoke about Sidney Brown. So I look forward to playing that cut for you, because it really does talk about a young guy that is growing with the Philadelphia Eagles. And what did I tell you after the first preseason game? You are going to start to see Sidney Brown get first-team reps. Now, in fairness, okay, bottom line, he got first-team reps. In fairness, they were rotating guys more into that safety position next to Reed Blankenship a little bit more often than they were in previous practices. I'm fine with that. Bottom line is he was getting first team reps. He wasn't isolated to the third and second team being rolled in there with the first team. You know what that means? That means you were rolling in there with the first team. It's better to earn those reps as opposed to stay stagnant as a rookie. And from all accounts, from everyone I've talked to, the Philadelphia Eagles really want Sidney Brown to win that starting safety job next to Reed Blankenship by week 1. And yesterday, and I love when coaches do this. I think they're being so damn slick. But Sean Desai did it yesterday. Sean Desai, when he was asked about in general, hey, so when are you going to solidify who your number one guy is at the safety spot? Week 1's still like a month away, so I think I'm gonna solidify it by then. Like, we still got 3-4 weeks till I got to solidify anything. So why would I say, maybe in the next 20 minutes? Maybe the next 20 minutes I'll solidify who my starting safety is. That's where we're at with the starting safety position right now. So we'll hear from Sean Desai about the growth of Sidney Brown. Phillies are back in action tonight, 7:07 start time, north of the border in Toronto. I want to make sure you guys know where we're sitting right now when it comes to the wild card standings in the National League. Yesterday, the San Francisco Giants lost. They got pummeled, as a matter of fact. So the Phillies are 2.5 games up. They are a game and a half up still. It should be 2 games up now on the Giants. The Marlins won yesterday, so they inched themselves back into a wild card spot there. The Chicago Cubs and Reds are still a game out of wild card contention. The Diamondbacks are 3.5 games out now, and the San Diego Padres are 6.5 games out of the wild card spot. So the Phillies will hopefully look to put some more distance, get used to that word between them and the rest of the pack as time goes on. 2-game series, brief 2-game series in Toronto with the Blue Jays. So we'll talk about that during our morning rush. Let's start it off with the Philadelphia Eagles and talk a little bit more about camp one. I mentioned it was Jalen Hurts, not his strongest day. Devontae Smith was having himself one heck of a day against his award. So that was interesting to watch that go back and forth. It was kind of a draw, according to all reports coming out of camp. Devontae Smith went up and got one great 50-50 ball on a toss from Jalen Hurts. So that was great. Another one got picked off. So it was kind of a back and forth battle as people really wanted to see how that would play out through the day. And apparently it was pretty even. One thing that I just can't get over, and I don't know if it's stats or whatever it is, but stats is definitely one of the things in training camp that I just find hilarious about people keeping track of stats. Thanks a lot, ESP. Thanks a lot there, Elliot. But one of the things I find just fascinating is the idea that these practices are held in the same vein as games. I never thought I'd live in a world where that mattered nearly as much as it does right now. But due to the CBA, due to only having one preseason game, and this is kind of the way it was trending. I mean, for a long time now, even when Chip Kelly was here, there was still conversation about shrinking the preseason. And the NFL certainly got what they wanted in having one more regular season game and taking away one preseason game. So with that happening and joint practices starting to become more of a trend, coaches have started to put a lot more stock into preseason practices than they have preseason games. I've heard coaches speak many times about winning the day, like winning the practice, like in general, winning. Like, you're not practicing against anybody except yourselves. And as a player, you're trying to win your battles on that given day. As a coach, making play calls, if you're Brian Johnson, trying to win that day. To hear them win practice against a Cleveland Browns team, or in the past, the New York Jets, or against the New England Patriots, or the Baltimore Ravens, whoever it might be, winning a practice just does not hit my ears right. But this is the way things are done now. Coaches like it because it's the controlled environment. You'll hear that buzz phrase time and time again. Look, last year the Eagles did the same thing with a slightly, I don't want to say slightly, I mean an eyelash slightly, tougher practice schedule. They went even easier this year, and they went to the Super Bowl. They won their conference. They had an MVP runner-up at quarterback. They had development from their young guys on the team. Devontae Smith took a step forward in his quote-unquote sophomore season. You had guys really step up. This offensive line continued to play at a very high level. Your defense led the league in sacks with a historic number. It's incredible. So if you tell me scaling back practices are something you don't like, I don't like it either, but the proof's in the pudding as to whether or not it can really have an effect on your team. There's no better example of that than week 1 last year. Look, the Eagles didn't practice very hard. The Lions practiced extremely hard, and they ended up making it a game. and then that are making it a season where they were in playoff contention at the end of the year. But did they make the playoffs? No, they did not make the playoffs. The Eagles, of course, they had a nice playoff run. We'll just leave it at that. So the joint practices and the idea of having practices that are more a controlled environment are what the coaches seem to be after right now. So everything I see, whether it's Myles Garrett just taking care of business against a guy like Jordan Mailata and Jordan Mailata not getting help like he would in a game and him losing that day in training camp, I don't really know how much stock to put into that. When I see a guy like Jalen Hurts struggle, if he's having a so-so day at camp, I don't know what to take out of that other than it's a practice. He didn't win practice. That's okay. I like how he wins football games. And that to me just doesn't make any sense. But that's the way, and that's where we are. So when we talk about training camp and what goes on, I always take it with a grain of salt when it comes to the joint practices. I want to know if a guy's competitive or not. That's all I can really get out of this. Like, you watch a guy like Sidney Brown during the first preseason game, I just want to know a guy belongs. That's all I ask for when I watch a young athlete getting exposed to the top shelf, when he gets exposed to game action in the NFL, well, whether it be preseason or not. Because you step on the field and you're playing, guess what? It ain't preseason anymore. You're playing the game. You know who it's preseason for? Above all else, it's preseason for the coaches. It's preseason for their whatever vanilla version of their offense or defense they want to call at any given moment. But you step on the field, especially as a young player, preseason doesn't mean a damn thing. Playing time is what I'm on the field. I'm playing right now. I want to see not only if you're taking it serious, which should be the bare minimum, but just that you belong. And as I mentioned yesterday, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Sidney Brown, they absolutely looked like they belonged on that football field yesterday. Tanner McKee absolutely looked like he belonged on that football field on Saturday night. That's what I look for. Now, when it comes to these joint practices, I'm sure the coaches are seeing what type of adjustments are being made in the moment. Because if you get beat on a throw in a football game, okay, you got to wait till the next series to see how you're going to respond to that. You got to wait to see whether or not the team's going to target you again. You get beat in this situation. If you get beat, if you're a guy like Sidney Brown and your safety and your responsibility on a play is to be the deepest man on the field, and you're not the deepest man on the field, well, then guess what? They might run that same thing again, and the coaches will see almost immediately how you make the adjustment. So if I'm a coach, that's one thing that I absolutely love about this. So if you're Nolan Smith, and you're getting blown off the football, or you're Jalen Carter, you're not able to get into the backfield, and they're running the same thing over and over again, and I'm a coach, I'm a guy like Sean Desai, and I'm watching you at practice, and I see that you're not making any adjustments, that's where I'm going to get involved as a coach. And that's where I'm going to have your position coach, if he hasn't already, get involved in coaching you up so you make those corrections and adjustments that you're going to have to make in a game. That's one thing you can take away from practice. That's one thing you can certainly take away from the way they go about these joint practices. But Jalen Carter, to me, has already shown through the two plays that he's not scared of the moment. He has said afterwards that he does not find any difference in game speed, which is hysterical. Nolan Smith shows that he's not too small for the moment. And Sidney Brown just looks like he wants to continue to turn heads. Yesterday, Sean Desai was asked about the growth of Sidney Brown after joint practice yesterday, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I thought Sidney's done well. You know, he's at a good camp, and he's continuing to grow and learn this defense, and that's really all these young guys, and really everybody. But it's a bigger learning curve for young guys, you know, that come in, and so he's doing everything he can to learn and grow with that. And then in terms of their aggressiveness, that's the art of a coach. You know, I mean, sometimes their great traits can hurt us, but I mean, he hasn't done that. You know, he's done a good job and just teaching the techniques that we want, and then you got to let these guys play. You know, that's part of what got them here. So we want their traits to show the things that got them here.
Keep on playing them, then. Keep on playing them, then. That to me, the biggest thing that comes out of that is their growth. If you listen to Sidney Brown, if you watch Sidney Brown, if you go back and you watch what he did at Illinois, if you go back and you read scouting reports about the type of leader he is, the maturity he has, those are all things you want about a football player. Most importantly, the fact that he can play. When I hear a coach talk about playing time, that's up to you. I lay it before you. You give him that playing time, give him that opportunity to make more highlights, make more hits, show you that he can develop past not just being aggressive, but learning when to be aggressive, learning how to be aggressive, learning when you're supposed to be dropping back in coverage as opposed to attacking the line of scrimmage. Like, that's what I think needs to be learned here at the NFL level. Because if anything can be different, I mean, people always talk about the speed. Jalen Carter is the rare exception. When you're asked about, hey, was the speed a little bit different? No, it was pretty much the same. Oh, okay, thanks. But the way they can disguise plays at the professional level is a little bit different than the way they can disguise plays at the college level. And a lot of that is because of the speed. A lot of that is because of the experience. A lot of that is because of the coaching. So you might be coming up to make a hit on a player that doesn't have the ball. Or you might be coming up to make a hit and not realizing there's somebody looking to take your head off to block downfield, and you're not going to be available to make that hit because you are going to be, in the words of John Madden, depleted. So Sidney Brown's got to do a good job, and it sounds like he has been doing a good job of learning and growing and understand what the NFL game has to offer. I'm going to go ahead and assume you're going to see him out there on Thursday for preseason game number 2. So I look forward to Sean Desai saying, you know what he needs? He needs reps. You know, there's a guy in the building there at the NovaCare complex named Jim Schwartz. And I credit my friend John McMullen, who keeps on highlighting this. I think it's a good point. You got to make sure these guys are getting that mental reps now. You got to get the, what does he call them? Opening costs? Learning costs? It's basically the curve of a young guy trying to make his way in the NFL. Get him out of the way now. Don't try to break glass later in the season when, oh, no, somebody's hurt. Now let's get him in there. No. And then he's got to have that learning curve. He's got to have that time to really digest and understand what's going on around him at the NFL level. Get it out of the way now because this guy's off to a flying start. Hey, look, I really loved everything I've been seeing and reading about Kayvon Wallace since camp started, about him getting first-team reps. They've got Terrell Edmonds kind of came in here with the veteran favoritism, I guess you could call it. But make no mistake about it, this Eagles team, they absolutely want Sidney Brown to win this job. And if Sidney Brown gives them reason to reward his effort, his knowledge, and most importantly, his talent with a starter's job, I think he's going to take it and run with it. So it's up to Sean Desai right now. It's all about playing time. Well, I wonder who decides playing time. I wonder who will give him that opportunity. I wonder who has sway. Look, Howie's going to have a big part in that. Nick Sirianni is going to have a say in that. But if Sean Desai is telling them, hey, look, this just got to see this kid a little bit more to really make a decision as to whether or not he's not going to shrivel in the moment or whether or not he could be your starting safety week 1 against the Patriots, then we're going to need a little bit more playing time. All right, Sean Desai, I'll hold you to that because I want to see it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see it on Thursday night. I got my fingers crossed that I see it on Thursday night. So we'll get into that conversation, I'm sure, as the week goes on. Startup costs. Thank you, Andrew Hernandez. Startup costs. Yes, thank you. See you in the chat there. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from Sidney Brown. The other guy that turned heads the other day in Baltimore, and I couldn't wait to get more of the players' take on this after they get a chance to watch the film and see their teammates have success, was Nolan Smith. There's a lot of great things that came out about Jalen Carter, just picking up right where he left off in college, and that's great. But Nolan Smith is a really interesting case because he's coming in here with a guy that has just dominated the NFL for the last 3 years with 3 different teams in Hassan Reddick. When it comes to getting after the quarterback, no one's done it better than Hassan Reddick for the last 3 years with 3 different teams, which is just bonkers to me. And now he's going to try to do it again with a new defensive coordinator. This is insane. So I look forward to watching that. But Nolan Smith is a guy that came in here, and right away people were comparing him to Hassan Reddick. So Hassan Reddick was asked yesterday about, first off, what he thinks of Nolan Smith being called Little Hassan. And you never know how players are going to respond to that. You can say, oh, don't put that pressure on him. He's his own person. He's his own man. He's going to do his own thing in the NFL. I wish him nothing but the best. He got the work ethic to do it. Here's something general like that. But what he said yesterday was he loved it. He loved having that association that, he played at such a high standard and has played at such a high standard and such a high level that now some kid is going to get that same type of respect some kid has that same type of bar he wants to get to. He loved that he was the, for lack of a better term, mentor, that he was the bar, that they're looking at him with that same type of respect and that same type of confidence. That, hey, look, you can be like him. He took it like a compliment. So I loved his answer about that. But overall, he was asked more or less for a scouting report, if you will, on Nolan Smith. And he was asked about what has caught your attention about the new Eagles pass rusher.
Just continue to progress. That's all. You know, he's young. Man, the kid's a sponge. He asks questions. You know, he's watching. He's learning. He's another guy who's been having a good camp. But just continue to learn. I say that for everybody because no matter how long you've played this game, there's always something that you can learn and always something that you can get better at.
Give me more. Just coach him up. Take him under your wing. Continue to bring him along. I do love sometimes with coaches. Sometimes, did I say some? Most times with coaches, when they're asked about a young player, a lot of times people will chalk it up to, well, what's he gonna say? Or is he gonna say he sucks? No, like, why ask that question? Because what's he gonna say, right? Well, ask the question because you really don't know what they're gonna say. So sometimes it's dumb. Sometimes what sounds like a dumb question gets asked. And a lot of times it's just teeing a coach up for a quote, or you legitimately want to hear what he has to say about how a player is progressing. I think most times you get more honest answers from players than you do coaches. Coaches will say, oh, love his work ethic. They'll focus on something positive, which is fine. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just kind of saying what it is. But a player, when they talk about a player, and when a player talks about another young player, especially a young player, what they'll get into is work ethic. You'll see it in their face, whether or not they're sincere about this player. They'll talk about how great they are. They'll talk about what they need to work on. We'll talk about, getting comfortable, still learning, and all that stuff. I think a good example of that is Hassan Reddick talking about Nolan Smith. When they asked him about the nickname, when they asked him about like his coaching or his progression, he lit up. Like, imagine this. Imagine you're a veteran player like Hassan Reddick. Imagine you've had the success that you've had in your career, especially in the last 3 years. And people are saying this young guy reminds me a lot of you. That's got to be, like they always say, imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? This has got to be something very close to that. You have been the bar and the standard in the NFL for the last 3 years in getting after the quarterback. Now they're saying this young guy. Now, some people might take it as a threat. Oh, no, I can still do it. Yeah, no one's saying you can't do it anymore, Hassan. They're just saying that this kid, when it's all said and done, if he has anything close to the career that you had, guess who he's going to be thanking? Hassan Reddick for helping bring him along. I love that Hassan Reddick took it like that. And I love that he's there to mentor and help develop a guy like Nolan Smith. And I love that Nolan Smith is coming in with the attitude of teach me your ways, Hassan. That shows you got a great locker room. Not that we needed any further confirmation, because every single Eagle that's come in here, new Eagle that's new to the nest, has come out and said, this culture is really something. It's like everybody to a man, from DeAndre Swift to Katavius Street, everyone, this culture is, there's something about this culture. Yeah, that's because the core four, that's because your quarterback, that's what the culture is here in Philadelphia. That's pretty special. One more little tidbit is Jalen Hurts signing with the Jordan brand. He is going to be the face of the Jordan brand in the NFL. I find that to be incredible. Some people, they'll look at it as though it's an endorsement deal. Who gives a damn? Look, it does annoy me. If I'm being 100% honest, it does annoy me from time to time when I see marquee Philadelphia athletes not get love, not get the national love. And I'll see, like, the big thing is you'll see like Super Bowl ads, or you'll see teams that are out there. Oh, who's going to be the Super Bowl winner or whatever. The NFL really start promoting teams. And you won't see your quarterback. You might not see your best defensive lineman. You won't see a Philadelphia Eagles jersey in general. Jalen Hurts getting this kind of pub, getting this kind of FaceTime, means the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be getting that kind of pub, that kind of FaceTime. And look, in the NFL, by the NFL's schedule, you already know that they got that kind of love and respect. I mean, you just look at the schedule and how many primetime games, how many national games they have. The Eagles are going to be a very exciting team to watch because of Jalen Hurts. And yes, also because of the culture and the storylines that they have. I mean, what are they doing? A documentary now on Jason Kelsey? The Eagles are a story. All right, people hate that I acknowledge this, but this is a statement of fact. Every network wants to have the Cowboys because they want the Cowboys bump. They want to have that ratings boost. So whether you're Fox, your CBS, your NBC, whoever, you want the Cowboys on your schedule. ESPN, you want the Cowboys on your schedule. That's the team that's fought over the most in the network offices when the lawyers get in the room and try to figure out what's what and who gets what and who gets it when. Everybody wants the Cowboys. But then you have your other teams, like the Steelers have a great national fan base. So everybody, they want a Steelers game, right? Maybe not this year, but in the not too distant future. That's the way it's been. Or excuse me, not too far past. That's the way it's been. The Eagles with Jalen Hurts and this endorsement deal that he's getting with the amount of FaceTime that he's going to be getting. People already really like Jalen Hurts and they think he's a really exciting football player. Now they're going to have even more familiarity with Jalen Hurts. The Eagles just being a good football team is great. The Eagles being close to a great football, close to winning a Super Bowl is great. But when an endorsement deal comes through like this, it's just more FaceTime across the nation. And people are going to be associating not just the Eagles, but football with Jalen Hurts. That's your quarterback. Ultimately, what matters is how he performs on the field, obviously. But the fact that the Eagles are going to be a marquee team for years to come, and this quarterback is going to be under center for years to come and playing at a high level for years to come, and a guy that I think is going to be a perennial MVP candidate, it lets you know that you're going to be in good hands for the foreseeable future. So I looked at it at first, and he sent a Jordan deal. Good for him. And I went on to the next story. And then I was like, what does that mean exactly? And it means like your quarterback is going to be the face of Nike for the NFL. That's pretty awesome. All right. I promised. It's not going to hold me hostage. But I still have to talk about it. I don't know if I said this yesterday, because I know it literally broke around this time when Sham sent out the tweet with James Harden. I have some breaking news here on the show, and we don't really break news. But the 76ers have lost the James Harden trade, okay? I don't think James Harden's playing for the Sixers again. As I said yesterday, James Harden is probably already at the dry cleaners in China picking up his fat suit. He can't wait to just put that on and maybe show up to camp and whatever. But the report is right now that he's not. It's as if calling his boss a liar didn't do enough for him. I would love, and I did a hit on Fox 29 yesterday, and they asked me about James Harden and kind of where you go from here. And it's like, well, this is where you were destined to be. If you didn't trade him, whatever was said last year before he took that $15 million pay cut, whatever was said at that time, I'm assuming James Harden thinks it's not being honored right now. So he opted into a $35 million deal for the upcoming season. If he gets traded, there's a clause in his contract where he gets a $5 million trade bonus. So he's on the precipice of a 1 year, $40 million contract. Not a bad year at the office, okay? But he wants a long-term deal. I know everyone is jumping to the conclusion. I shouldn't say everyone. A lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that James Harden, well, why did you opt into that deal then, James? Why did you opt into the 1 year deal? You could have had the pick of the litter in free agency. Apparently, there's no litter. Apparently, James Harden feels like he's in a situation where no one else was going to give him a deal close to what Daryl Morey was supposed to give him. So when people talk about, oh, well, there's no market for him, so why would you pay him that much? Oh, no, I agree with you, but the market doesn't matter. Because I don't think James Harden just all of a sudden in the last 3 months realized the market that was going to be there for him. I don't think Daryl Morey just all of a sudden realized what little market there would be for James Harden. I don't think this is breaking news to either party. I don't think either of these people are morons, okay? The only thing that matters is it appears that James Harden thought he had some kind of handshake agreement with the 76ers that was going to be a very lucrative long-term deal for him. Whether that was 4 years, 210 million and a max deal there, I don't think it was that. Again, I don't think either party is a moron. All right. But what really appears to be is that James Harden thought he was going to be promised, or thought he was promised, a lot more than what he was given. For James Harden to say Daryl Morey is a liar. Okay. What was promised here exactly? And by the way, I also love this. If you remember, what was it, like a month ago? James Harden did that interview with USA Today where he was asked about players dictating where they go next and players stirring up drama on social media. And he's like, I like to stay out of the spotlight. Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Did you think that little pep talk to the audience there in China was not going to be recorded? You know, you listen to it and it's almost like he's doing, it's almost like he's reading from a teleprompter or something. The way his cadence, the way he says it, I'm like, is he reading? Is this like the world's best troll job ever? Are they going to announce a contract tomorrow for like 3 years, 150 million? What are they doing exactly? And then you hear the reaction from the audience, and you're like, "Oh no, damn, this is real." The audience is like, "What the hell?" So I'd love to have been a fly on the wall and figured out, or at least know what was said last year. Whatever it is, James Harden feels like he's getting ripped off. There is one more report that has come out here, and this is from Jason Dumas. According to a source, Daryl Morey is, quote, unmoved by James' comments. He is holding firm in his stance that he will not trade him unless it makes the Sixers a better team. Meanwhile, I'm told James's agent advised him against making that statement. Oh, really? Did you? You told him not to do that, did you? I had that. Okay. Hey, don't call the guy a liar because we might still have to do business with him, okay? I'm going to call him a liar. Please don't. Oh, I'm going to China. See ya. Keep your Twitter open. Yeah. Look, it's a poop show. As I said yesterday, it's a big old poop show with the 76ers. The long game for Daryl Morey was not going to pay off for James Harden. I said that at the start of it, and I'm saying it now. You can't afford to play the long game with James Harden because James Harden doesn't give a damn about winning. James Harden doesn't give a damn about the Sixers. James Harden gives a damn about James Harden Enterprises. All right? That's what he gives a damn about. So he'll sit out. He'll wait. He'll fatten up, right? He'll get the fat suit on, freshly pressed. I don't know if you press a fat suit. I don't know. I haven't ever had to wear one. I just kind of got fatter as the years went on. But watching James Harden in the next couple of months, yes, it will be a circus. I won't be held hostage by it. Something comes up, some trade report, we'll break it down. But the long game was going to be a losing game for Daryl Morey. I understand. I get the idea that this still allows Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey to run the Sixers for the upcoming season. And that's ultimately what I wanted. So I get that. I'm going to get that. I'm excited for that. I would still love the shadow, the ever-growing shadow of James Harden to be out of the Sixers organization, to be off the Sixers organization. Should have happened already. Now, what little, next to no value you had now equals to no value. You're no longer next to it. You're literally in the realm of no value. Cool. This is fun. We're all having fun. We'll get more Philly stuff in when we get to our morning rush, but let's get to our chat check and see how you beautiful people are doing on this fine Tuesday morning. Where am I at? Am I pushing the right buttons here? I'm pushing the right. I'm gonna start it over on the Farzy Show channel. What's going on, everybody? Sean Kilray, James Harden never heard of her. Harden equals loser mentality. Peace out. Sean, I'm with you there. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Harden probably did have a wink deal with Morey, though that is no excuse for giving up in the playoffs. I concur. Rockin', what's up, Rockin'? If James Harden gets traded, will you be happy if they get both Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan? Yes, I am. Zach LaVine, I wanted Zach. I didn't even want James Harden. I wanted Zach LaVine in the Ben Simmons sweepstakes, but that was a pipe dream. Yes, but you're not getting either of those players. Like I don't think either's happening. DeMar DeRozan, obviously older player. You might. You have a chance, but I still doubt. You're getting nothing. You lose, sir. Good day. Willy Wonka, what's up? Sean Gillespie, Harden has proven that you can't win with him. Don't understand why a team that considers themselves contenders want to. Oh, wait, hold on. How dare I forget this? Before I go any further, I showed you the Dumas cut. This, okay. Apparently, Joel, come on, bro. Joel Embiid has changed processing. He's taken processing out of his Twitter page, but the process still is there. Okay. And his location no longer says Philadelphia. So he took location out of his Twitter profile, his X profile. Whatever the hell that means. There you go. Jeff, what's up? Harden's analytics reminds me of the Beastie Boys song Sabotage. He's hurting himself. Oh, Antics. Sorry, Antics. Antics remind me of the Beastie Boys song Sabotage. He's hurting himself. Morey, the Sixers, and Embiid's chances to get players that want to come to win a championship. He is so nutty. Yeah, look, I know this doesn't look good for Daryl Morey right now, but in all honesty, if you're an organization that's going to pay a star, then stars are going to come here. Right. That to me is really not going to have a lot of effect on anybody coming here to Philadelphia. Look, James Harden, out of Houston, out of Brooklyn, now out of Philadelphia. You mean to tell me Daryl Morey has been the problem in all three of those stops? I don't think players are stupid. And the Sixers have proven they are willing to pay players. So they're going to be fine as far as stars wanting to come to Philadelphia. That doesn't bother me. Morning, April. I think Harden thought more fans would rally around him and want him back. Hard pass. Ugh, if that's the case. Yeah, he is learning that the hard way. Jump over to Jacob Media, see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. What's going on? Dev, morning, Eagles Nation. Jalen Carter will be awesome. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait for the Jalen Carter show. Look, a couple of things. Like I said earlier, like one thing I look for when I watch a young player in the preseason is just look like you belong. Look like you belong. Don't look like a guy that's like, it's my first day. Could someone show me where the bathroom is? Like, don't look like that guy, okay? Look like a guy who belongs. Jalen Carter, first snap, is at the quarterback's knees. Like, he belongs. But yeah, quickness and strength. Those are for a defensive tackle, a pass rushing defensive tackle. Those are some nice attributes to have. If you're starting a new season on Madden around the same time that you're watching the NFL season, you're going to create a player or whatever you're going to do, bolster speed and quickness, and you'll have a lot of success. Jason A. Farzy, what's good with you? I'm loving your point about belong. Oh, thanks, man. Never viewed it that way, but it makes the most sense. Absolutely. That's it. Like the stats. Like if Tanner McKee goes out there and Tanner McKee throws for like 3 touchdown passes, yeah, that looks good. But I'll take him just looking comfortable. Like, look, a guy could drop a pass in the end zone. They could have a horrible call on 4th and goal, was it, or the 2-point conversion? They could have a horrible call there, and it doesn't get executed. But if the player just looks like throughout the playing time he's out there, it looks like he belongs, then that's good. Ian Book did not look like he belonged, and he's not a rookie either. Sean Gillespie, the Browns were playing up to manufactured image last year with their warrior coach. The Lions, I think you mean. I don't think Kevin Stefanski is a warrior head coach. I do like Kevin Stefanski. So hyped for Jalen Carter, says Jason A. My boy at work is a diehard Georgia fan. He's been saying for years, watch out for this kid, Jalen Carter. It's no joke. Can't wait. AIB, what's up? Sydney is ready for more responsibility. Sydney Brown is ready for more responsibility. Sean Desai said the thing about playing time. Give him the playing time. Give him that time out there on the football field to show you not only that it belongs, but he'll be an impact player, because that's what he showed me in preseason game number 1. Andrew Hernandez, what's up? He's so Philly. Laugh out loud. Startup costs? Yeah. Jay Stay, what's up? Kevin Savard. Nolan will probably replace BG when he decides to hang it up. What a difference between Hurts and Wentz. So here's this conversation point came up last week. What is the difference between Jalen Hurts? Like right now, right this second, what's the difference between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz? After Carson Wentz's great, and look, he had a very good, I'll say very good, he had a very good rookie year by his own standard. Then if you remember, Lane Johnson got suspended for the old PEDs for 10 games and everything got shot to hell. Ryan Kerrigan feasted on Halapoulivaati Vaitai. Wow. And I remember that first, I think it was the first or second play. Carson Wentz got up after being sacked by Ryan Kerrigan, and half of Carson Wentz's name was ripped off. Anyway, that's for another day. But as far as Wentz, the following year is the MVP season, probably the MVP if it doesn't get hurt. I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP last year if he doesn't get hurt. So what's the difference? At this point right now, what's the difference? If you just watched isolated, not knowing about Carson Wentz is impossible, but if it was possible, and you could look at Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz right now, at this point in their careers, who do you have more faith in? At this point, coming off their MVP caliber seasons, who are you taking? You taking that Carson Wentz or you taking this Jalen Hurts? I'll tell you why I'm taking this Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz to me on the field looked like a command, like that's no pun intended, but it looked like he looked like you could command the offense. Looked like a great field general. Looked like a veteran. All that stuff. The same things we're saying about Jalen Hurts. We've said about Carson Wentz. The difference for me is, and I don't know what it is exactly, but I'll liken it to a used car salesman. Okay. I think Carson Wentz had a little bit of that used car salesman in things that he said. Jalen Hurts says things that if you read them, you might roll your eyes, but you hear him deliver it, and it's so believable. You know, I had a plan before, I had a purpose before anybody had an opinion. You know, something like that. You're like, what motivational poster in 8th grade did you get that off of? You know what I mean? But with Carson Wentz, there was just something that I don't know what it was about him. But with Jalen Hurts, I'm buying what he's selling. With Carson, the thing that was the biggest thing was the play, the way he played on the field. It wasn't so much what he said, it was the play on the field. But that can be streaky and fleeting in the NFL, as we have learned with Carson Wentz. With Jalen Hurts, there's something about his mentality. Going back to the trade talks, learning more about Carson Wentz with the Joe Santoliquito piece that came out about him that everyone just killed. I remember interviewing Joe the day that came out, and everyone, oh, how dare you say this about Carson Wentz? I was like, wait, hold on a second. He's citing a lot of sources here, and a lot of people are coming out saying these different things. And then next thing you know, the Inquirer publishes a story about it. Next thing you know, ESPN.com has a story about Carson Wentz behind the scenes. That really showed me a lot about Carson, the teammate, that it was him first, not the team. When Jalen Hurts was being asked constantly about Deshaun Watson, who's in camp right now, obviously, with the Browns. When he was asked constantly about Aaron Rodgers, or he was asked about Russell Wilson, when those stories were going on about the Eagles being in on those sweepstakes, you know what he did? Put his head down, and he controlled what he could control, which was his level of play. That was it. That showed me so much about Jalen Hurts. Because, look, I don't think it's a good thing to transfer schools in college. You get benched one place, you go somewhere else, or you're not going to continue to fight it out in one place, you got to go somewhere else. I don't think that's a good look. Getting benched in a championship, that's not a good look either. So I really needed to learn about Jalen Hurts. And everything, every little morsel I picked up about him, I just said, this guy's a winner. This guy is this. You can win with this kind of guy. When Carson Wentz faced adversity, he turtled up, he crawled up in the fetal position, and that was that. Unless he was on the football field. Like, remember this. So the year after the Super Bowl, they come this close to going back to the NFC Championship game. The ball goes through Alshon Jeffrey's hands, off the hand of Nick Foles. Then the following year, the season kind of goes to hell. And Carson Wentz plays the last 5 games of that year at an MVP level, and the Eagles make it into the playoffs. Then Carson Wentz got hurt. But that was another turnhead moment for me with Carson Wentz. I went, oh, wow, maybe he is this guy, you know? But there was just something about him that rubbed me the wrong way, that I wasn't buying what he was selling. So the difference for me, if I'm really nailing it down between the two, is that Carson Wentz does not seem at all to be on the same level that Jalen Hurts is with his mental approach to the game. Carson Wentz, I can look at and see a guy that got rattled. I've never seen Jalen Hurts look rattled. Put it this way, I've never seen Jalen Hurts look like he didn't belong. The thing I'm looking forward to, talk about difference between last year and this year with Jalen Hurts. This is what I'm most looking forward to with Jalen Hurts. It's not something specific, like it's not more accuracy, like all the specific things we talked about last year. Here's what I'm looking forward to the most. This is what Brian Johnson has talked about. Nick Sirianni has touched on this, and Jalen Hurts has talked about this flat out. The application of experience. I look at what Jalen Hurts does on the field. There's a couple of things. People talk about throwing to the backfield more, having more confidence in your running backs to make a play, catch a pass, all that stuff. Yeah, sure. I'd love to see that as well. I think that comes down to play calling. I think it comes down to game planning. And then Jalen Hurts going out there and executing the play. But what I look forward to the most is the application of experience. The experience that he has now as a 2-year starter in the NFL. The experience that he has now of winning in the playoffs. He does all that, and the biggest test in front of the Eagles and their schedule this year, the biggest test is going to be other teams knowing how good they are. It's not about sneaking up on guys. It's not about sneaking up on teams. It's not about surprising teams that come to Lincoln Financial Field or surprising teams that you're going to see, you're going to visit, whatever it is. It's them knowing how good you can be, understanding that, oh, wait, I can get, if I'm a pass rusher, I can get Jalen Hurts in my book. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I can stop Devontae Smith. I can stop A.J. Brown. I can stop Dallas Goedert. I can stop this backfield, this stable of running backs. I can stop Jalen Hurts. I can beat up this offensive line. Oh, that's going to look good on my resume. That's going to look good on my highlight reel. Teams know how good this offense can be. So they're going to bring their best against you. I've referenced it a lot. It's one of my favorite things to ever come out of any Hard Knocks. Like, don't get me wrong, Dan Campbell was entertaining last year. But Rex Ryan, back in the day, I want to say it was like 2008, when he was on Hard Knocks, he was talking about the Jets coming off an AFC Championship appearance. And he was saying, look, last year you could sneak up on people. This year you can't. You know you're going to be tested every single play, every single game with their best. Because they're going to be coming for you. Same thing right now with the Eagles. It's not a secret anymore. People know how good Jalen Hurts could be. People want Jalen Hurts in their book. People want the Philadelphia Eagles in their book. It's going to be a tough test for the Eagles this year. One that I think the Eagles are ready for. And one that I think they're going to be more than just competitive in. Jason, yeah, Hurts is incredible and definitely someone to be proud of. About drafted as backup, worked hard to get better. Watching a homegrown quarterback grow before our very eyes. Oh, besides McNabb. It is great. The Eagles make Philly so proud. That's why it's really been a top dog among sports. I 1,000,000,000% agree with that. Where am I at here? Why is this jumping around? Phillies are close. Oh, this has always been a base. Like, look. All right. It's one of my. I hate this conversation, but I kind of got to touch on it here. I hate the conversation of, is it an Eagles town? Is it a Phillies town? Is it a Sixers town? I always think it's a town where whatever team is pissing us off the least, we're that town. This is a football city. The Eagles are number one. The Eagles are number one, and then sometimes the Phillies give us a party, and everyone's invested in the Phillies. Everyone, is paying attention. It is a baseball town, but first and foremost, it is an Eagles town. By far an Eagles town. And this is a baseball. This is a Phillies first guy. I love baseball more than any other sport. It doesn't say I don't like football. God, of course not. I love football. But I acknowledge the fact that this is an Eagles town. It's like not even close. But the Phillies, man, but don't sleep on the idea that this is a baseball town too. It's not like it's Eagles and everything else is ignored. No, certainly not. Especially a Phillies playoff run. Oh, baby. It's exciting. But just because it is such a football town doesn't mean that people don't pay attention to anything else. Yeah, Phillies are going to give us some parties down the stretch here, man. Yeah, I can't wait. I know it's so cliche. I can't wait for that, like, not flyover, like a cable cam or drone footage of the camera sweeping over Citizens Bank Park of people just waving their rally towels at the playoffs, and people are in their jackets because it's gotten a little chilly outside with the fall weather, right? Can't wait for that shot. Can't wait for that shot. Phillies go, tired of Harden. I'm not too happy with Morey either. He hasn't really done anything for the team. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jason. I am the same way. As far as what Daryl Morey has done, like, what has he done? Has there been any genius fleecing deals by Daryl Morey? Nope. Farzy, that's crazy. You say that. I really thought he was trolling too. It was weird. Plus Morey and all the other Sixers trolling all summer. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh, the James Harden reading the comments. That's what I thought when I saw the comments. I was like, when I listened to it, I was like, this sounds like a play. This sounds like the eighth grade play. It's like, and I am telling you about how I feel. Great acting. Not exactly Brando, huh? Maturity to be coached. That's another one. Embiid and other teammates said openly they'd like to troll the fans. Maybe they got some. I doubt that's the case. 007, what's up? Duh, Jalen Hurts. I would love it. Who are you taking, Jalen or Carson Wentz at this time? Jalen. It's so easy to say now, right? This is incredibly impressive. Dude did not even bat an eye at the Russell Wilson reports. That's what I'm telling you, Nathan. That's when it was almost like a whoa. It was almost like reporters asking him about it, and he was like, whoa. I'm above it all. They might trade for Deshaun Watson. And they might trade for Deshaun Watson. They might trade for Russell Wilson. Well, they might trade for Russell Wilson. They might trade for Aaron Rodgers. Well, then, Aaron Rodgers might be an Eagle. I don't know. Then I'll back him up, I guess. I don't know. There's something about Jalen Hurts that I find fascinating. And here's one of the things that I found really fascinating about him. There are people that really use negativity as a motivator. People, this person said I can't, and that only made me work harder. There are also people, and I think he definitely has that. But it's weird. There's also a mix in there of this guy's doubting me, so what? Like, I think that's a bigger thing. Like, people that use that type of negativity as motivation and doubters as fuel. Like, I get that. That's okay. That makes total sense. But what really impresses me are the people that just don't pay attention to it. The people that don't need it. And I'm kind of arguing both sides of the coin here, but Jalen Hurts, I'm just trying to be as accurate as possible. I think Jalen Hurts has both those attributes. He'll use people that doubt him as motivation. But at the same time, there's this feeling from him where it's just like, oh, that's how you feel? Like the guy at the Super Bowl that said, I doubted you. I didn't think you could do it. And he goes, for that, I'm sorry. He apologized for his opinion. And Jalen Hurts just went, cool. I love you. Thanks. No, I love you. Oh, no, I heard you the first time. When Jalen Hurts went into that answer, I was fascinated by it because I thought that showed the other side of it. That showed the side that just kind of goes, I doubt you. You can't do it. And we're like, okay, well, that's a stupid opinion because I know I can. Like the people that blow off the negativity, I'm more impressed with than the people that use it as fuel. Like if you criticize someone, I think it shows just what a cold-hearted bastard they can be when they're just like, okay, yeah, your opinion's adorable, but I don't have to pay attention to it. I'm busy doing my thing. I think that's really who Jalen Hurts is. So, yeah, Nathan, to your point, incredibly impressive. The dude didn't even bat an eye at the Russell Wilson comments. I agree. Kevin Savard, what's up? I think Wink's comment from the Giants, he was asked, how are you going to defend him? He said, got any suggestions? Yes, that's a good one. Okay, Nathan, fair. What has Daryl Morey done? But I said fleecing deals. Fleecing deals. He drafted Maxey. You're absolutely right. 19 other teams had an opportunity to do it. They didn't do it. He did it. Good for him. That's a good draft pick. Yes, you could argue that if the pandemic doesn't happen and they have an NCAA tournament and Tyrese Maxey gets showcased a little bit more, maybe he's not, the pick. You could redo the draft and he's a top 3 pick. Okay. Certainly. But I'm talking about fleecing deal. Like the Ben Simmons thing, not a fleecing deal. Nope, not a fleecing deal. Laughed my ass off. Not the fat suit. DJ, the fat suit's coming. What's the Weird Al? Yeah, I'm fat. Yeah. For the young people watching the show and for the young people on the podcast, do yourself a favor. Look up Weird Al Yankovic. I'm fat. If you haven't seen it yet, James Harden moonwalking into the Camden practice facility. I'm fat. Like, that's what I picture happening. Eventually, he's going to go to Camden. It's going to be similar to Ben Simmons. And he's going to do that by moonwalking into I can moonwalk, by the way. Just, I don't mean to brag, okay? But I can moonwalk. Anyway, I would not be surprised if that's how he moonwalks into the NovaCare complex. Eagles team reminds me of the Andy Reid McNabb era, 5 straight NFC championship games in a row, says 007. Let's go for it. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I'm all for it. I can see it happening. I hope it happens. I'm here for it, baby. I have that same vibe, especially because I think the Cowboys are going to be good enough to tease people and then just crush their hopes and dreams, and that's going to be so enjoyable. The Commanders, the Giants are an interesting team. I think the Commanders are going to continue to be a thorn in their side for some stupid reason. Like, they lost one of the games last year, of course, but I think the Commanders are going to be a thorn in the Eagles' side. The Giants are interesting because I have zero respect for their quarterback, whatever the hell his name is, Daniel Jones. But I got a lot of respect for Brian Dable, and I got a lot of respect for Mike Kafka, and I got a lot of respect, believe it or not, from Wink Martindale, even though I think his take on Boston Scott not being a Giants killer is just a denial of truth. But I think they're a really well-coached team, and Saquon is a phenomenal running back. So the Giants, I feel like I should think about them more, but I don't because I have zero respect for Daniel Jones. So that's where I'm at on all that. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Check Farzy Show one more time over here on the Farzy Show. Danny Turf Monster. Wait, hold on. I got to make sure I get that in there. Wait. What the heck is going on here? I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, let's get into the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Eagles and Browns continue practice today. Should see how that's going to be going. Look forward to that. Phillies back at it against the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. The Phillies 11 games over 500, looking to bounce back from just a terrible series with the Minnesota Twins. Dropping 2 of 3 in that one. Zach Wheeler gets the start tonight. Like I said, it's a brief 2-game series. 9-5 of the season, so he's going for his 10th win on the year. He has allowed 5 runs in his last 2 starts, going 6 innings in each of them. He allowed 3 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings against the Washington Nationals in a winning effort. He struck out 6 in that game. I beg your pardon. 4-game road trip coming up here. 2 in Toronto, 2 in Washington. The Phillies will go up against, and I hope I say this name correctly. I bet you I will not. Left-handed pitcher out of Japan, 32 years old, Yusei Kikuchi. Every once in a while, Kikuchi. Every once in a while, I'll say a name of like Japanese, Korean descent, and I'll just be like, that could be Italian. The Kikuchi. Have you had the veal? Yeah, it has the Kikuchi on it. Hey. Anyway. Left-handed pitcher out of Japan. He's 9-4 with a 3.53 ERA. He is coming off one hell of a performance against the Cleveland Guardians. 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. He's a good pitcher. Also, he went up against Baltimore previous to that. 6 innings, 1 run. And tell me if you heard this before. He went up against the Dodgers. 6 innings, 1 run. He has allowed, in his last 5 starts, 4 runs. So there's that. Have at it, boys. Have at it. Phillies and Blue Jays, 7:07 start time. I will be right here after the game on the Jacob Media YouTube channel for Fightin's post game, so make sure you guys check that out. I feel like there was one thing that was weird that I wanted to get in here, and I don't have it in my notes. Let me just check my last thing here. No, it was the unmoved thing. I got the unmoved thing in here. I mentioned the Devontae Smith versus Denzel Ward. I mentioned that. Yep. that's that. So yeah, I'll be here. Also today, I hope to be with Derek Gunn for Sports Take. Rob Ellis is off the rest of the week, so I'm hoping at noon I'll be talking to you guys again from noon to 3 with my man Gunner. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. To the people on the podcast, thank you so much. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. I'll probably see you guys in a few hours. But if not, I'll see you tonight after the Phillies game, and then I'll see you tomorrow morning as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you.